Hey, and welcome to another edition of What's Next with Joey McGuire, Robert Giovanetti, along with the head coach. And, Coach, it's been a while since What's Next. We got a lot to catch up on.
It has been a while. I mean, you've been busy. Your schedule has not allowed us to do this, and we've both been busy. I'm messing with you, know it.
I know, but we had some guys here last week, and Coach McGuire was like, "Oh, well, we're waiting on you now on your schedule." It's been hard during the summer, but I'm trying to think of all the things that have happened. But you've had camps. How's that gone?
Great, man. We've had I guess the phrase has become more and more popular. We've had some dudes. Like we really have. We've had great camps. We ended the summer with our biggest camp of the summer. We had close to 600 players here, and last week we ended up having 4 different camps and OVs, and so it's been a really busy June, but exciting.
Yeah, it just continues, right? The number of people that are coming here. I was able to talk to a couple families that were here the other day, just blown away by facilities, right. And so it's hard to manage that, but you guys seem to make it all work pretty smoothly.
Yeah, between Antonio Huffman and Quentin Jordan, and I always say Jordan now since I got 2 Quentins, Quentin Joyner, the running back, and Quentin Jordan, my DFO, who probably could play running back. Those guys, and then everybody else whenever it comes to our student coaches and our student workers and Alicia, my assistant, and everybody, Dave Martin, all the off-field staff, they do such a great job of coordinating everything, and it's almost like, hey, all we have to do is show up and work camp or work whatever we have because they have everything ready to go.
You were saying the other day you had relaxed on one of those recovery beds after one of your camps.
Yeah, I did, the little kids camp, man. So we 14 hours of camp. So we started off and we had kindergarten through 6th grade.
Holy crap.
Then we had a break, and then we had our 7th and 8th grade camp. And so there was probably close to 800 campers that were on campus that day. And yeah, I had to take a little break. Whenever we had the break, I did. I got in the sleep pod and took me a little nap, and
30 minutes is like 3 hours, right?
Yeah, so I was ready to roll. Yeah. And we had a great 7th and 8th grade camp.
That's fantastic. You mentioned Quentin Jordan. He's just one of the guys. We should talk a lot about some of your behind-the-scenes people because you have so many people like that people might recognize, see them, and go, I don't know what they do, but man, those guys are so important to make sure what happens.
Yeah, he's amazing. I tell everybody, he is the best person in the country whenever it comes to the academic side of a high school player graduating early. Like, I'll have parents go, well, we don't know if they can do it. I said, oh yeah, Q will get it done. Yeah. We literally, perfect example is Lubbock's own, Holden Phillips. He was not scheduled to graduate at mid-year, and Q said, if you do this, this, and this, and within the month, he's here and graduated from high school. And so he has some really good ways to do that. If he tells you a kid's going to be eligible, a kid's going to be eligible. We should recruit him, whether it's a transfer or whether it's a high school kid. He is absolutely amazing at that. And then he's taken over some other roles that Harrison Hanna had whenever Harrison went with Coach Kitley. But he's the guy that gets everybody moved in where all the freshmen are going to live. It's just seamless. And people understand, when you have a guy like that, there are so many things that takes off of my plate or anybody else's plate to where you don't have to worry about that stuff. That's one thing. Having a guy like him, having a guy like Antonio Huffman, they make my job so much easier to just concentrate on the team.
It seems like Q's always here, too.
Oh, he's a machine, man. So we just had our senior retreat in Dallas, and we had camp on Sunday. Well, Antonio and Q both went to Dallas with the seniors, and I'm expecting, Dave Martin to run the camp, which he has a big part of it. But I look up, and Quentin's back in Lubbock, and I'm like, bro, y'all aren't through. He goes, oh, Coach, I've got people that are doing that, man. I'm ready to go for camp. And I'm like, I wasn't expecting him to be here, but he knew how important and how big the camp was.
That's awesome. Huff, too. Huff was here.
Oh.
We were here Sunday morning giving the Monterey High School class of 75.
Yeah, that was cool.
And Huff Huff's kind of a celebrity too. They all know him from his playing days.
Yeah. I tell everybody whenever people say, okay, well, Antonio Huffman, I introduce him. He's my chief of staff. And they're like, what is that? He is the head coach off the field. Yeah. I mean, whenever it comes to the budget, whenever it comes to like this facility, he was in, if you remember, he was in every meeting. Yeah. So I didn't have to be. The branding of this building is a lot of his idea. Different parts of this building is his idea. And then, he's the guy that handles all of our road trips, from the planes to the hotels to everything, from A to Z whenever it comes to that.
Those guys might be ADs someday. They might want to stay at football, but they might be athletic directors.
They both would be incredible at it because, I think I work for the best AD in the country. Sure. And one reason I think that Kirby is because he gets it, he played in high school, he played in college. I mean, he understands what this world's all about. When you look at those two guys, they're the exact same way. They've never been out of anything but the football side. Now, Quentin has a unique perspective too because he was with the NCAA at one point. He was at the conference level in Conference USA at one point. And then Coach Rule hired him at Baylor. So he's got some different things they can bring in, but they've always been around athletics.
Since last time we talked, house settlement goes through. Matter of fact, we were all kind of together. We were in Oklahoma City. I want to talk about that too, but and everyone's phone just starts blowing up.
Right.
And it's been settled and people start working the phones and everything. How has that impacted you? Has it impacted you guys at this point?
Now, we were prepared and ready to go, and so we're just in the stage of getting all the contracts ready to go and moving into the revenue sharing phase of this. I think, we have been ahead, and what's going to be really interesting, now, we'll be proven right or we'll be proven wrong, but I think we're ahead of a lot of people whenever it comes to next year, meaning January and even the next recruiting cycle, high school and portal-wise. I think we're ahead of a lot of people to where a lot of people are scrambling right now and then what it's going to look like and when. I think we're in a really, really good position.
We're ahead of what's next, right?
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Hey, do you find it interesting Texas Tech has taken on this persona nationally about what in the world's going on at Texas Tech? And I think it does show tremendous planning. Obviously, you have to have deep pockets.
Yeah.
And we've got some people that have stepped up.
Yeah, I love it. I actually had one of the best high school players in the country in my office this weekend, and his dad asked a very good question. He said, Coach, all these colleges we go to are saying Tech is doing X, Y, and Z, meaning in the NIL and now revenue. And I started laughing, and I said, man, I'm so glad you said that because all these people that are complaining about it, they've been doing it either the right way or the wrong way in funding student athletes for a long, long time. And now they're complaining because we've decided to play it at a really high level. And he started laughing. He goes, I love that answer. And, I gave him a couple other answers, remember. But it's a lot of people, I love it. I love what our softball team, I know you alluded to it, but what our softball team did and is doing. And then all the comments of, Texas Tech has broken softball and stuff like that. It's really kind of funny because, a lot of things have been going on at a lot of different places for a long time. And it's interesting that we're in the mix and all of a sudden people were upset about it.
And we are doing it the right way.
No doubt.
Doing it within the guidelines, and I think we can clearly look anybody in the face and say, hey, we're taking advantage, that's probably a bad term, of the way the rules are set up and what we're doing.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I think that we have people in place that have had plans and have been very aggressive with it and understand, that it could put us in a big advantage, and we saw that, the basketball team going to, to the Elite Eight, softball team doing what they were doing, and I think it's just going to continue.
Is there a little bit of, hey, this has always been our space, and we use the term new blood for Texas Tech.
Yeah.
We've always said, hey, we're kind of a sleeping giant out here. Is there some of that, hey, this is our party?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, all you got to do is follow different, fan bases, and they're complaining about different things that have been, but it's okay that they do it. They like, we don't want to look at different rosters and how they were put together. And it's always funny. I mean, different people have like, they've gone in the portal heavy. We did, but we also signed 21 high school guys, and there's different universities that there was an article that came out and said the old way versus the new way, talking about recruiting, meaning transfer or high school. And I reminded that reporter that the old way school that you're talking about has the most transfers out of the original Big 12 group than anybody. But all of a sudden now they're recruiting more high school kids, and that's the old way. Hold on now. They've had 63 transfer athletes since that head coach has become the head coach. And so
transfer in.
So you're like, so maybe he's just taking more high school this rotation, but he's taken a lot before that. So it's like each fan base is always going back and forth of like, I love it. Yeah, the more people are talking about Texas Tech, the better.
Heck yeah.
And now we just got to go back it up. I got to follow Grant's lead, and I definitely have got to follow my man Glasgow's lead, because he did it at a really high level.
Yeah, it's funny. I watched him do his press conference after they lost the championship game, and he's already talking about recruiting. Right?
Yeah,
he's thinking about next year's team and what he's going to do and how he's going to put something together. How fun was that? You were there. Coach McCaster was there. Coach Gerlich was there. I think Coach Herendeen was there.
Yeah.
There's a few other coaches I didn't see, but it was cool to see that the Tech community come to support Jerry and his team.
Yeah, and Pat was there.
Yeah,
again.
Pat,
got and Brittany. They got 2 games in. Man, it was incredible. And what I was really proud of, and it didn't surprise me, knowing that team and those young ladies, but. That Texas, they jumped on us, and there was a point there that I'm like, okay, we're fixing to get run rule.
Yeah.
And they just kept battling and kept battling and kept battling. And, I would have loved to have been there to see them host the trophy, but I was glad that I was there. And what a great environment. And that's really cool. I've never been in an environment to where I've got to see that in softball. And then I turn around, I got to go to round 1 and 2 of March Madness. I've never got to do that, just timing wise. And so it was fun to be a fan, and I am a fan whenever I'm at those things. So I gotta always watch what I always gotta watch what I'm saying. I turn into, just another fan.
You're not there for the media or the photos, even though you get a lot of photos taken of you.
Yeah.
You really get into it.
Oh, I do. Like I am. Like I want to win so bad at everything that we do, and then. We have got some just absolutely incredible coaches and they're incredible people. And I know how hard it is, one, to win, but I also know how much time they put into this.
Yeah.
And to see them at that level. And then, you could just see it on their faces, whether it's a good or bad, them wearing their emotions from the standpoint of just winning games. I love the look on Coach's face whenever we beat OU in softball, because that's such a huge win, because they're the best of the best, and for us to knock those guys out, that was huge.
He made a great comment, I thought, afterwards too, about all the attention Nija's getting.
Yeah,
maybe how unfair that is to her, and it takes away from how great she is. And he said the same thing. You don't hear anybody talking about this team's roster in college football or whatever. He said, but why is it important for us? But I think what they've done, and the Sellers family has really stepped up, is Texas Tech has invested in women's athletics also.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I know Cody and Tara, his wife, very well, and I know John and Tracy, and I'm proud of them. We threw out from the Big 12 championship throughout the World Series. We had Debbie and I had a group text with Tracy and John, and it was a lot of let's go and just how proud. And I thought it was really cool too. I don't think people understand how big of a deal it is just for marketing, but also just the logo recognition that whenever you are at those games, and I'm watching it on ESPN, and they're talking about John and Tracy, they're talking about the Matador Club, they're talking about Texas Tech. Patrick's out there tweeting, and all of a sudden, of course, it shows up, on ESPN, and then he shows up at the game, and just all that stuff is so good for us, and it's so good for our brand, and it's awesome to have people like that step up and back our women's teams just like they're doing.
I had John and Tracy in front of me, Coach Gerlich next to me, you and Grant behind me, and I thought, one of these people can get thrown out. Right?
Yeah,
you guys were all into it.
There was a couple of times probably pretty close.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
They separated. There was a separation. I think Grant was down to my left. I think we were together.
He finally kind of made.
We probably would have got tossed.
Hey, you mentioned Patrick. You got to play in his golf tournament.
Yeah.
How cool was that? Did you meet anybody of? I mean, obviously Patrick is a big name, but who else did you kind of rub shoulders with out there?
Oh man, Greg Maddox was there. Okay. Which is one of the greatest pitchers of all time, and
I heard he really likes living out there.
Yeah, he's pretty incredible. And then Travis Kelce, got to introduce and talk to Johnny Manziel for a second, and it was really cool. It was. As much as we think Patrick Mahomes loves Tech, then add in 2 to 3 times more. I hope he gets to do it, and I bet he does, just knowing him. But the day that I'm out there and it's the meet and greet, it's NFL. They release the schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm looking at the schedule to see whenever his bye week is and to see if we're playing at home or who we're playing. And he comes in the room, makes a beeline to me, and he said, I'm going to be at the BYU game. I've already started talking smack to Andy Reid, which is a BYU.
Yeah, sure.
He's a BYU alum.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to try to bring him with me. You better win and all this stuff. And I couldn't even get it out. And he's already looked at all that stuff. So I think, like this guy's just totally different. No alumni, whenever it comes to guys that are playing and women that are playing their sports, they're really doing what he does whenever it comes to what he does for Texas Tech.
I asked Jacqueline Dahl, who's great, who's his representative. I said, are you doing this stuff for Patrick online about softball? And she's like, oh no. She said, that's all him. And then the next day they were at a commercial shoot. She sent me that video. Now we've seen of Patrick watching the game.
Oh yeah,
he's doing a commercial shoot. So,
yeah,
I mean he's locked into Texas.
Oh, he is, and it is fun. He really is. He's such a sports fan. So whenever it comes to Texas teams and everything, he really is locked into.
We're fortunate to have him as a Red Raider for sure.
No doubt,
it's worked out well. Graham Harrell got. Speaking of great quarterbacks, announced he was going to be inducted to the Ring of Honor. His name will be out there. We were looking the other day where to put it. I know that's good for you. You've got a close relationship with his dad and with Graham. Yeah,
I actually tweeted. I mean, his 8th grade year going into his 9th grade year, they brought we had a 7-on-7 tournament, and it wasn't a state qualifier or anything. It was just a 7-on-7 tournament, and he came over and he was quarterback in their varsity team and won the tournament. I mean, we would go over there every year and scrimmage. We would go over to Ennis and do a lot of 7-on-7 stuff. And I remember Graham is a 6th grader, and he's got his dad's got a trash can, set 17 and 27 yards away, and he's throwing, balls, with a certain height, and he's just dunking the ball. You get guys around it, you got other quarterbacks, balls are all around the trash can, and he's just dunking the ball. He just had such great touch. I remember so many great things. I was at a game that, he played in at Cowboy Stadium. I think it was him in Highland Park, and, they ended up coming back and winning. And, man, I'm a huge fan. One, I'm just a huge fan of his family. His mom and dad are absolutely incredible, and his career, and always been a big fan of his, and, well-deserved, because he's another guy that's done a lot for this university.
It's funny. A lot of fans have said, why did it take so long? Why did he go in earlier? Well, he coaches.
Yeah.
And it's been hard. We always look at his schedule and see, and it's been hard to coordinate. Finally, he's at ACU now. He's offense coordinator just down the road at Abilene Christian. Their bye week kind of coincides with a game we're here, so we're able to get it done this year. But certainly everyone recognizes he's one of the best that's ever played here.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And whenever you look at it probably, I would say, number one, there's probably a couple other people would say a couple other moments, but I'm still going to say number one. I mean, he's part of the most recognizable moment in Texas Tech athletic history. Whenever you talk about any sport, with the throw to him and Crabtree and beating Texas here in 08. I mean, really, that's so iconic, and the years that he had here and the numbers he put up, he deserves to be up there.
Yeah, if you asked 100 Tech fans, more than 50 are going to give you that as their favorite play of all time.
Yeah, and then the ones that don't are probably too young to remember that, or looking at a couple are too old. Or, they're too old, and they probably have some really cool moments of some different guys like that.
Rodney Allison.
Yeah, Rodney Allison.
Was pretty good.
Yeah. I would have loved to he and I would have been really big buddies in college, I think, and then I would have loved to either played with him or watched him play, because they say that he ran around like Johnny Manziel before Johnny Manziel was doing his stuff.
Yeah, I think Rodney was I think older fans like me appreciate him. And because how great he was.
Yeah.
And, he was tough. That's hard to believe. Right?
Oh, man.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, Rodney's as tough as they come, and he was like that as a quarterback. And there's some great stories we can't tell on this or any place else that I've heard about him that he's told me since then that I thought this is pretty cool to hear how he was as a player.
I'm not going to tell the story, but I did hear a story on a golf course one time, randomly playing with a Red Raider my first year. We're in Ruidoso, and he said, yeah, I've got some really good stories. Told me some good stories about Rodney. I'm going to let Rodney tell those stories and not me.
Yeah, there's some funny ones that he has. Again, a lot of them not suitable for any kind of public hearing. But, there was a great story. Tech lost to Houston in 76 in a game that we could have won and gone to the Cotton Bowl, might have won the national championship. And they had a great guy, Wilson Whitley was his name. And there's a story about Rodney going into their huddle right before he goes, I'm about to move your ass all the way down the field. Right, he didn't back down from anybody. So.
No, he's pretty incredible, and he taught 2 of my 3 seasons, and going on 4. We're working on it because now he's in Hawaii. We'll have to Zoom. He's talked to the team, and what people understand about him. I know you know this. He wears the double T every single day. Still. Like, he's known as the either coach or the tech guy in Hawaii, but he literally wears the double T every single day.
Yep. Have you seen him in Hawaii? Have you been to see him in Hawaii?
I did. I went. We had dinner with him and his wife.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to play golf like Dowdy did.
Yeah, Matt Dowdy's played golf there, and a few others gone. That's my plan. That's on my bucket list to go play with Rodney.
Out
in Hawaii before hopefully he moves back to the Texas someday. But
no doubt.
For right now, while he's enjoying life. All right, Coach. Well, thanks for your time. Have a great summer. I don't know when we'll get back together again. Obviously, we got Big 12 Media Day next week or 2 weeks. And then before we know it,
camp will be ready. Be ready to go.
Debbie will be running around getting the women's clinic ready, and there's a lot happening.
I think we have 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah, I think we're 1,000.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we've got a lot more. But thanks again. Have a great summer. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you.
It's coming up. Joey McGuire. I'm Robert Giovanetti. Wreck 'em.